But when it matters most, you count on TracFone to keep you connected for less. Our smartphone plan gives you talk, text, and data with unlimited carryover starting at $15 a month. No contract. All with nationwide 4G LTE coverage. Get top smartphones or bring your own phone. TracFone for moments that matter.
Right now on the Weather Channel, we are tracking Tropical Storm Gordon as it nears landfall along the Gulf Coast. Meteorologist Alex Wilson live in Biloxi, Mississippi. Meteorologist Mike Seidel live in Dauphin Island, Alabama. Storm tracker Jim Cantore, Pascagoula, Mississippi. And our Justin Michaels in Wiggins, Mississippi. Our hurricane expert Dr. Rick Knabb in studio tracking Gordon's track, timing, and intensity hour by hour. We're going to begin with a new advisory and our hurricane expert Dr. Rick Knabb.
So this is an intermediate public advisory from the National Hurricane Center with the benefit of a partial mission from the NOAA Hurricane Hunters. And one number that has noticeably changed is the central pressure, down to 999 millibars. So that's down from before. But the aircraft hasn't sampled enough of the circulation just yet for them to make an adjustment to the maximum sustained winds of 70 miles per hour. The motion about the same, northwest at 14 miles per hour. Still offshore. It's still centered over the Gulf of Mexico, about 75 miles southeast of Biloxi, Mississippi. It's closer than that to land, for example, because it's closer to Dauphin Island, Alabama, for example. So it might go over one of these barrier islands before making final landfall on the coast of Alabama or Mississippi. So no major changes here. It's pretty much on track. Let's show you what the NOAA Hurricane Hunter has been doing. Took off from Lakeland, Florida about 6 p.m. Eastern time and has come in from the southeast. They've gone through the center one time, and now what they appear to be doing is making a left-hand turn just off the coast, like going right along the coastline of the Florida Panhandle and now going along coastal Alabama. So they're probably flying right near Gulf Shores right now. And if Mike Seidel looks very carefully through the rain and the clouds, maybe he would see the aircraft if it's not in a rain band. So I'll be going over Dauphin Island here a little while. So what they're doing is looking for what the winds are on the presumed strongest side of circulation, but they have not yet found any winds close to hurricane force. So Mike Seidel, I don't know if this is going to become a hurricane, but you got a strong tropical storm on your hands, and while you're in the thick of it now.
Yes, things have really ramped up, Mike and Dr. Knabb out here at Dauphin Island. You can probably hear the rain pelting my jacket. Visibility has really dropped too. I mentioned earlier it's about 200 yards of beach here, and I can't even see the waves now. So the visibility is down to maybe about 150 yards. The rain being blown sideways, and the visibility, boy, I'm looking at that way. It's hard to even look that way. The winds east-northeast, and these gusts are probably pushing 50 miles an hour. It is howling out here right now in Dauphin Island. The worst of it coming in here, and we're going to be in this for a while. But boy, what a change. About an hour ago, we still have the sun out with some rainfall and gusts 25, 30 miles an hour. So it's really going downhill quickly and almost textbook-wise. Once the heaviest rain comes in, you get the strongest winds. They almost come in simultaneously, and that's what's happened here on Dauphin Island. This is one of those barrier islands. Oh, I see something's blowing down here. This is probably what's coming down for the most part. This is what we saw yesterday over in Naples and also on the East Coast over in Key Biscayne near Miami. Yes, the palm frond. This one just blew up my way, and I can tell you this morning in Naples, that was the number one thing. There were palm fronds down all over the place. So when you get these gusts 40, 50 miles an hour, you get these palm fronds coming down. What you have to be worried about is trees coming down on power lines. Fortunately here, the power lines for the most part, because they've had so many storms, Katrina leveled this place basically, that most of these power lines are not near any kind of vegetation. It is a barrier island after all. So it's going to take a lot to knock out the power. But this is, there it goes, out towards the coast. This is a pretty healthy squall, certainly tropical storm force wind gust, maybe sustained at 39 miles an hour. This is all headed towards Biloxi and Gulfport and Pascagoula. Let's go to Biloxi right now. Meteorologist Alex Wilson getting set for some of the weather from Gordon later on this evening. Alex? Oh, okay. Let's go back to Dr. Nab. Let's go back to Dr. Nab in Atlanta. Dr. Nab?
Yeah, Mike. Mike Seidel's on the northwestern side of the circulation, so the center of Gordon is off to his southeast, but headed in his direction. So I don't know if Mike, if you could point to or look in the direction of northeast, and that's the direction the wind should be coming from. Is that the case, in fact?
Yes, the winds are east-northeast, right out there, sorry. And east-northeast, a little bit of an offshore component. If you can still see me, I notice our light just went out. I hope you can still make me out on the beach here. But yeah, it's an east-northeast wind, and it hasn't changed at all. That'll happen later on tonight. And boy, the visibility has really just dropped off significantly. Just horizontal rainfall blowing across the camera out here. I'm probably about 50, 60 yards from the camera out here on the beach, but then the ocean is a long way from us. So we're in good shape here as far as being dangerous. We're in a safe spot right here, right now. Unless the winds got so strong, but they're not going to get strong enough to blow me down the beach, even with my 175 pounds. Dr. Nab?
Yeah, so Mike Seidel and Mike Bettis, it looks to me, looking on the radar, compared to his location, that the center of circulation is, about 40, 45 miles southeast of him. So maybe he's about 3 hours from the center of the circulation coming right over him. Maybe a little bit less, but somewhere in the 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central time frame is when the exact center might go right over him. But then you've got the whole other side to get through for quite some time.
Well, things might calm down for him after this initial band goes through, and this might be the worst of the wind. Mike, you've had a reported 59-mile-per-hour wind. And then, it may be in and out of this for a little bit. But as Dr. Nab was saying, there may come a period here in about 3 hours or so where things get significantly better for you.
Well, let's hope so. But this is what was forecast. This is what was expected when you get a strong tropical storm. I've been through nearly 70 tropical storms, depressions, and hurricanes, and this is pretty par for the course in my 25 plus years of covering these things out on these beaches. So not only on the Gulf Coast, the East Coast, and in the Caribbean. So this is pretty typical textbook kind of strong tropical storm weather with this kind of rain and this kind of wind gust. The thing about it is the rain really stings you. It's kind of like a sleet storm in Amarillo right now, trying to look into the rain, just pelting you in your face. Anything that's exposed, it stings.
Yeah, but Mike Seidel, I can't promise you that break, because one scenario could be that the center goes just far enough south and west of you that you get the northern and then northeastern portion of the pseudo inner eye wall, and then you're in for the long period on the southeast side. So that's the difficulty, especially when you got a relatively small central area of pinpointing where the center's going to go. So that's just an example of how it's very difficult, even 3 hours out, to know exactly where the center's going to go and exactly what the weather's going to be at any one spot.
Yeah, exactly, and that really determines who gets the bonus rainfall, say 6+ inches versus, say, 2 or 3 inches. Exactly what you were saying with the northeastern eye wall, if we get into that and then we start training for a few hours. But I tell you, it is coming down out here. Winds sustained, I'd say 25, 30 miles an hour. As you mentioned, a gust in the area of 59 miles an hour. That doesn't surprise me. But power is on, and, it's going to take a lot more than this to knock the power out here, because the trees, the tall pine trees I'm seeing in the distance really being whipped are not near any of the main power on Bienville Boulevard, which is the main highway that runs up and down Dauphin Island. But this is unrelenting. Yeah, this is unrelenting. Looking out towards the ocean right now, looks like the visibility's come up a hair, Mike and Dr. Nab. But boy, that's a pretty good gust there. I'd say that's pushing 50 miles an hour plus out here on the beach in Dauphin. Huge dune system. No concerns about losing a lot of this beach. A lot of beaches on the East Coast don't have the luxury of this kind of dune setup. So they're very lucky here. But barrier islands are notorious when it comes to impacts from tropical storms and hurricanes. This island was, Camille, then in 69, August of 69. Then we had Katrina just over 10 years ago, which leveled the island and put a cut on the west end. A big inlet opened up. That's closed off now. And then we had Nate last year, an 85-mile-an-hour hurricane, which came in. In fact, I was actually in basically the eye as it came over us about 1 in the morning in Biloxi, and the winds went dead calm, just like it's supposed to. But even this far off to the east from Category 1 Hurricane Nate, we had upwards of 6 to 8 feet of sand deposited on the west end of Dauphin Island, and we had the storm surge, which was generally, in this part of Mobile County, from 4 to 6 feet. Whipping up right now, Dr. Nab and Mike Bettis, really whipping up here on Dauphin Island.
Mike, we've got that newly issued tornado watch. Does include Dauphin Island there. How difficult is it going to be to spot something like a tornado, and what risk does that run for a place like coastal Alabama?
Well, that's the problem. The visibility is so low. You talk about rain-wrapped tornadoes. All of your years of tracking severe weather and storms out in the plains, when they're rain-wrapped, you can't see them. Well, the entire island, the entire area basically is rain-wrapped. And luckily, they're quick spin-ups. They don't tend to be, strong tornadoes, but you're not going to see them coming. And the best bet is to just stay indoors. I can tell you, if there's any kind of warning, we're headed inside. But with this tornado watch continuing, and again, this is this is something that is often issued when you have a landfalling tropical system. But fortunately, most of the tornadoes are no stronger than EF2, which is still a pretty dangerous storm. Any twister, even an EF1 or EF0 with winds up to 85 miles an hour.
Yeah, and Mike Seidel, Dr. Nab again, I wonder what kind of visibility or access you have to northeast, east, and south-facing shores of the island. The reason I bring that up is where the onshore push is going to be maximized is going to change as the wind direction changes, because as you were reporting, and as we can see from where the center is relative to your location, the push is off the bay right now from the east-northeast. So here's Dauphin Island off to the northwest, but then as the center goes by you, that's when you get the southerly flow that could cause some inundation on storm surge on the south side, but in between there could be a little bit of an east-southeast flow onto the east side. So it'd be interesting for you to monitor different sides of the island for any storm surge flooding.
Yeah, the bridge, Dr. Nab, comes in from the north, from the mainland of Baldwin County and Mobile. And when you come in there, you're looking at the north-facing shore, and off to the left as you come over the bridge. Right now, I'm sure that water's really piled up. There may be some bay or coastal, we'll call it coastal bay flooding over in that area. That'd be off in that direction because that's where the wind is piling up the water. But on where we are, on the ocean front, the wind is blowing the water away from the beaches. So right now, inundation is not an issue. But once the storm goes by, it's rotating counterclockwise as low pressure does here in the northern hemisphere. The winds are going to start coming around, just depending, as you know, Mike and Dr. Nab, where the center exactly goes. But once it goes by, we're going to be in the backside, and there's going to be some kind of southerly component, whether it's southeast, south, eventually maybe getting into southwest, maybe tomorrow, maybe. But after that, we're not really concerned about the wind's going to start dying down. But that's going to start pushing the water up on the Gulf side of Dauphin Island and all these barrier islands.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this
Orange Beach and over towards Gulf Shores and Pensacola.
Yeah, and what's interesting about when the storm surge might really start to be noticeable in the southerly flow is in between the central area of rainfall right near the center of circulation and the band, the prominent band that's way out to the southeast. There's an intervening area with not much rain, but that's where there could be some strong southerly push. So I hope folks don't think after the center goes by and maybe it's not raining very hard, that's when the storm surge could start.
Exactly. You think it's over with and you head outside and you get the backside. By the way, I noticed our light on the balcony is out, and it looks like I don't see any lights on in the condo we're in right now. I do see some lights on in some homes down the street. So our power may have gone out here at the condo, although I'm kind of surprised at that. Maybe it's some wire coming in, some main transmission line coming in from the mainland, or something off towards the bridge. But right now, as far as I can tell, the power has gone out here at the condo here on the beach at Dauphin Island.
That wouldn't be a good sign, Dr. Nab, because we've talked about this. That we know these winds are under 60 miles an hour. We're already losing power. Could that be a sign of things to come as you go farther inland now, where you've got a lot more trees that could come down on power lines?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the wind itself, when you got tropical storm force winds, and that's certainly what Dauphin Island is experiencing. We've had reports of sustained, in addition to gust tropical storm force. Just the winds themselves can take down power lines and can disrupt power. But then you go, like you say, Mike, into an area where, in much of Mississippi, for example, where there is a lot of forested region that could have trees falling onto the power lines. And by the way, trees falling onto homes is a dangerous part of all this. Remember how we've seen people get hurt or even killed in tree fall and severe thunderstorms?
Yeah.
That's what is at least a possibility here. So you're going to have to treat the tropical storm conditions like you would maybe even a tornado when you get in the middle of your house.
Lowest level of your house.
That's
and get
right.
into the middle, away from exterior walls. Great stuff from meteorologist Mike Seidel in Alabama. We're back with more after this.
More and more people are finding themselves in a Chevy for the first time. You can too during the Chevy Labor Day sales event. Now through September 10th, use Labor Day cash to get almost $5,000 below MSRP on this 2018 Equinox LT when you finance with GM Financial. This Labor Day, discover why Chevy is the most awarded and fastest growing brand the last 4 years overall. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Jardiance asked, when it comes to managing your type 2 diabetes, what matters to you? You got A1C, heart, diet, and exercise. Slide them up or slide them down. So let's see. For most of you, it's lower A1C, but only a few of you are thinking about your heart. Fact is, even though it helps to manage A1C, type 2 diabetes still increases your risk of a fatal heart attack or stroke. Jardiance is the only type 2 diabetes pill with a life-saving cardiovascular benefit for adults who have type 2 diabetes and heart disease, significantly reducing the risk of dying from a cardiovascular event and lowering A1C, along with diet and exercise.
This really changes things.
Jardiance can cause serious side effects, including dehydration. This may cause you to feel dizzy, faint, or lightheaded, or weak upon standing. Ketoacidosis is a serious side effect that may be fatal. Symptoms include nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, and trouble breathing. Stop taking Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of ketoacidosis or an allergic reaction. Symptoms of an allergic reaction include rash, swelling, and difficulty breathing or swallowing. Do not take Jardiance if you are on dialysis or have severe kidney problems. Other side effects are sudden kidney problems, genital yeast infections, increased bad cholesterol, and urinary tract infections, which may be serious. Taking Jardiance with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you have any medical conditions.
Ask your doctor about Jardiance and get to the heart of what matters.
Okay, be good, kiddo. I gotta go to work. I love you. Bye.
Dog home alone all day? Who knows what they'll get into? A day without a walk is a sad day for your dog. But now you can make your dog's day with WAG, the on-demand dog walking app. Get a WAG-certified walker to walk your dog at a moment's notice. WAG walks are insured and bonded. And WAG walkers are vetted, experienced dog handlers who'll give your dog the affection and attention they deserve. WAG has live GPS tracking and will even tell you where your dog marks its territory.
My dog pooped.
WAG, the #1 on-demand dog walking app. Get your first walk free when you download the app now.
The only Emmy-nominated weather network on cable
When this much rain falls, it is a life-threatening situation.
is the most essential coverage on TV.
Stay tuned for your local on the 8s, brought to you by Prevagen, the name to remember.
I love love my grandma.
As you grow older, your brain naturally begins to change, which may cause trouble with recall.
Learning from him is great when I can keep up.
Thankfully, Prevagen helps your brain and improves memory.
Dad's got all the answers.
Prevagen is now the #1 selling brain health supplement in drugstores nationwide.
She outsmarts me every single time.
Checkmate. You want to play again?
Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Currently in our area, 79 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, thunderstorms, low 70. Rainfall possibly over 1 inch. Wednesday, thunderstorms, high 77. Rainfall near 1 inch. Locally heavy rainfall possible. Wednesday night, thunder showers, low 68. Chance of rain, 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to Dauphin Island. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel. We are getting the brunt now of Tropical Storm Gordon as it approaches the Gulf Coast of Alabama and Mississippi and Florida, Western Florida Panhandle. We just had a wind gust here clocked to 56 miles an hour. There is a weather station, we call it a Seaman station, on the eastern end of the island, just a couple miles away. 56 mile an hour gust, so that's pretty hefty. And the power is now out on Dauphin Island. Now, I do see some lights in the distance. They must have a generator, but I am really kind of surprised that this is all it took to knock out the power on the island. But again, you live on a barrier island, you pay the, you've got the beauty here, and you also sometimes have to deal with the power going out, even with winds that briefly gust over 50 miles an hour. But we're going to have more gusts. We may have gusts even stronger, 60 miles an hour plus. Dr. Rick Knapp, a hurricane expert, telling us that there may be an inner eye wall trying to form, and that could impact here on Dauphin Island in the next couple of hours. In the meantime, we're under a tornado watch for those quick spin-ups. The best thing to do tonight is to stay in and stay off the roads. And all this heavy rain is going to be moving inland, even though the winds will be dropping off as the storm weakens with the friction of the land early on Wednesday morning and into Wednesday afternoon. We're going to have a lot of heavy rain rolling up through Jackson, Mississippi, Memphis, into the mid-Mississippi Valley. So even though you're far away from the coast, a lot of rain coming in, and again, many areas in some of the areas in the Midwest, like in the Corn Belt, are super saturated. So this could certainly kick in more flooding. Jim Cantore, we are getting walloped here on Dauphin Island, and I know so far you've made out pretty well, but it's on the way, buddy. Whoa.
Yeah, you're only 25 miles from me, Mike, so it is all coming. We really don't have a lot of signs of it. Looks a little certainly dark and ominous, but it's tough with the sun angle where it is now. But I just want you to see where the water is, okay, and where the pier is right now and how low it is. It's kind of sitting below the first seawall, then it comes up toward Beach Boulevard here, and it's another level. Well, believe it or not, this wonderful man, Edgar Hull, I just walked up to him and I said, "Sir, do you mind if we just use your house for kind of a station here?" Here's where we are. Okay, this was a house that was built back in 1858. All right, you see that? Hopefully I'm holding that down so you're not getting a glare. This is it after Katrina. Gone. All right? And let's spin around, Brad, and show it now. But I want you to see how big this house is. I mean, when you think about the kind of water that we had, 25, 30 feet, to take down a monstrosity like this that was around and made it through Camille, believe it or not, but did not make it through Katrina, certainly what we had here. So just a horrible situation. We are expecting some of the weather that Mike's getting to come on in. We got that new tornado watch, too, that we are going to keep an eye on as well. That is certainly coming our way, so that's something we're going to keep an eye on. But right now, it's kind of amazing just how calm it is compared to what it's like just 20 miles to my east in that band. Okay, guys, are we going to Justin? We going to Justin and Wiggins? Yes? No? Bettis. All right, back to Bettis in the studio. Mike,
all
Mr.
right,
Bettis.
thank you very much, Jim. We're going to take it to the coast there of Alabama and show you what's going on right now. This is the live streaming camera. This is out of Heron Bay, all right? This is what it looks like right now. Visibility is pretty much next to nothing at this point. High winds, you're going to get water overwash here, you're going to get sea spray, you're going to get sand, and you're going to have to be incredibly careful. This is why we urge you, and I think even there you're starting to get now maybe the white cap spray that's coming over the roadways here. Dr. Nab, your thoughts on this? Boy, this can get really dangerous if you're on the roads.
Yeah, this is why you don't say just a tropical storm. You know, this is a high-end tropical storm with gusts above hurricane force that we're going to be experiencing. And this is one of the many reasons why you don't want to be driving in a tropical storm.
That is the ocean washing over the road.
Yes, and imagine trying to drive down that road. The winds would make it very difficult. The visibility makes it nearly impossible to see if there's water covering the road just a little bit ahead of you. And then you die in a flash flood or in a storm surge because you had no idea what you're about to drive into. So it looks like nobody's driving on that road. That's good news. Let's everybody take that advice as this moves inland. But this is the northern end. We haven't gotten the circulation center come ashore yet, but this might be among the strongest bands that you're going to see on land. We'll have to see what happens with that inner eyewall.
Well, there's a car that goes right through that.
I would not want to be making that drive right now. Not a good idea. Unless that's a law enforcement officer and he's got good reason to be out there. But the rest of us need to be staying indoors and not making any first responders have to come out and get you if you get into trouble.
So we talk about, you know, what storm surge could be, Dr. Nab. We're seeing that here. We're seeing the water that's now impeding on land. And as you've talked about, water going higher than would normally be dry land. That's what storm surge is. It takes into account tide. We're going from a low tide that we had this afternoon toward a high tide, but that high tide's not going to be till tomorrow morning.
Right. So we're catching a little bit of a break there. And just for reference, Heron Bay is right across the water from Dauphin Island. So Heron Bay is on that point on the southwestern end of Mobile Bay. So Heron Bay is right here, kind of where the H and the I are in Dauphin Island there, and then Dauphin Island itself right across the water. So Heron Bay is getting into the thick of this kind of second-tier band, but then there's the inner eye wall, such as it is, that looks like it's about to come on shore. So this is not the last we're going to see of conditions like this. We will continue to update you live from the coast. Stay with us.
You're turning onto the street when you barely clip a passing car. Minor accident, no big deal, right? Wrong. Your insurance company is going to raise your rate after the other car got a scratch so small you could have fixed it with a pen. Maybe you should take that pen and use it to sign up with a different insurance company.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise their rates because of their first accident. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Bear presents Ordinary versus Overachiever. Bear Premium Plus. Bear through it all with the top-rated paint at a great price. Right now, get incredible savings on Bear, exclusively at the Home Depot.
Does this map show the Peninsula Trail?
You won't find that on a map. I'll take you there. Take this left. If you listen real hard, you can hear the whales.
Hear that? Our Subaru Outback lets us see the world. Sometimes in ways we never imagined.
When you're expecting a little angel, be soft. When your little angel expects a lot from you,
You gotta be kidding me, little dude.
be strong. Life takes softness and strength. That's why we make Angel Soft Mega with more of the value you already love.
Mommy, we made your Princess Toast!
Oh! I have no idea what's in Princess Toast, but thanks to this USP seal, I know exactly what's in my Nature Made gummies.
Nature Made has the first gummies verified by USP, a nonprofit organization that sets purity and potency standards.
Lower carbs. Lower calories. Expectations. The light beer you've been waiting for has arrived. Corona Premier.
Michelin Premier. Safe when new, safe when worn.
If you have psoriasis, little things can be a big deal. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not a cream. It's a pill that treats moderate to severe plaque psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clear skin is achievable. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. It may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur. Tell your doctor about your medicines and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
Olay Deep Hydrating Eye Gel breaks through the competition. Olay Eyes with B3 Complex hydrates better than $100, $200, even $400 eye creams. That's something to see. Olay.
As the one who's always trapped beneath the duvet, I'm begging you, take Gas-X. Your tossing and turning isn't restlessness, it's gas. Gas-X relieves pressure, bloating, and discomfort fast, so we can all sleep easier tonight.
And welcome back, everyone, as we track Tropical Storm Gordon for you. You're taking a live look, Heron Bay, Alabama. This is on Mobile Bay. This is just north of Dauphin Island, the barrier island out there in the Gulf of Mexico. And you can see how the spray from Mobile Bay is washing over. I believe this is Dauphin Expressway here. This is Dauphin Island Expressway. This is Parkway. This is really the one road that will take you down to the barrier island, Dauphin Island. But there's it's just basically a strip of land and there's a road on it, and that's it. It's not very wide, and so you're seeing now the spray coming across the road there, and wouldn't be surprised with a really strong easterly wind now that we get more water coming over the road, and actually getting a report that there's an RV park there that's also taking on some water right now. So obviously we're getting some impacts, and what's going on with us right now is a tropical storm with 70-mile-per-hour winds that's getting closer and closer to making landfall. Probably going to happen in the next few hours here. But Alabama, coastal Florida have been really taking this one on the chin right now. These pictures are pretty impressive. Our Mike Seidel has been at Dauphin Island all afternoon and evening long, and he's been experiencing winds that have been gusting close to 60 miles per hour. And Mike, update us on the conditions right now. We've got your picture up. We've got this picture of the water coming over the road there just north of you. Describe for our viewers what's taking place right now.
Right now, Mike, we're still in the thick of the very heavy rainfall, stinging, blowing horizontally. These winds still gusting close to 50 miles an hour. And I can understand what's going on where we have that live picture at Heron Bay. That's on the other side of the bridge. And I know that road, we came over today, and it's not elevated very high above the bay. So it wouldn't take much because the waves are already crashing and kind of licking just a few feet below the road surface late this afternoon. So I can visualize what's going on over there. And just on the other side of where I'm standing, on the north side of the island, because this is an east-northeast wind coming in this direction. And so that's blowing the water right up against the other side of the island. Meanwhile, on the Gulf side, it's blowing the water out. So right now, we don't have any worries about a surge on this side, the Gulf side, the beach side. But once this storm moves on by, we're going to get the wind coming in from a southerly component, and that's going to start to pile the water up. We're not expecting a huge storm surge, generally in the 2, 3, maybe 4 feet. The west end of Dauphin Island is the most vulnerable. The power is out here. We're using what we can to keep me lit. Battery-powered lights, that's the way to go. The only lights I see on right now are the lights on the walkway, and they're battery-powered, taking you out to the beach here. Boy, this rain is unrelenting. And this is one of the issues we're going to have, not so much here because the water drains away into the Gulf and the Bay, but inland with all the rain saturating the ground, and then you throw wind into the equation. But Dr. Nab, I mentioned earlier, and I got the word that you're a little concerned now, maybe an inner eye wall is trying to develop, which could impact some of this coast here in the next couple of hours.
Yeah, in fact, Mike, I think within the hour, that northwestern inner eye wall kind of band is probably going to pass over your location. So there might be a temporary lull compared to what you've been experiencing, because that has crossed the water and is now over the Heron Bay on the west side of Mobile Bay, and that's what's causing the water rise there, pushing off the bay into the land. And then after that northwestern eye wall in about an hour, then for the following hour or so, you'll be in the central area as long as it stays on that track going right over you. Of course, if it goes a little south and west of you, then you'll find yourself in the northeastern eye wall, such as it is of this borderline tropical storm trying to become a hurricane. The NOAA hurricane hunters have been out there. You can see the path over here where they've been flying over on the right-hand side of your screen there. They came in from the southeast, then went out the northeast, flew right along the coast. They might have gone right over Mike Seidel, practically, right near Dauphin Island. They've gone just off the coast of Pascagoula, and they've turned around. Now they're going to head from west to east right through the center. But you can see so far they have not measured, at least with the SFMR instrument that looks at the ocean surface, tries to estimate surface wind speeds. They've not found anything close to hurricane force, haven't seen flight level that indicate it. It doesn't mean that it isn't out there. They just haven't measured it, and it may be the strongest bands that were water earlier had hurricane force. We may never know exactly how strong it was because of the timing of the aircraft relative to where it flew in. But nevertheless, on radar, you can clearly see this northern band that is just off the coast of Dauphin Island, and the central area is moving off to the northwest, so it has a decent chance of going right over Dauphin Island and then maybe make final landfall somewhere near the Alabama-Mississippi border in a few hours. So we are going to deal with a lot of weather on the front side of this, and then after landfall, that's just the beginning of the event. For many of you, we'll have Jim Cantore and Mike Seidel reporting us live. Stay with us.
Feeling wiped out? That's your body calling. Answer the call with B vitamins and whole grains to power up. Special K cereals have both, with tasty extras like real fruit and nuts. Special K, powering you.
Once Daily Toujeo helps you control your blood sugar. Toujeo not only provides stable blood sugar control around the clock, the Max Solo Star holds 900 units of insulin in one pen. This could mean fewer refills of Toujeo. All that and a $0 copay. That's something to groove about.
Let's grow tonight. Share the spice of life.
From the makers of Lantus, Toujeo provides blood sugar lowering activity all day, all night, and beyond. Proven blood sugar control all day and all night, and can significantly lower your A1C. Toujeo is used to control high blood sugar in adults with diabetes. It contains 3 times as much insulin in 1 milliliter as standard insulin. Don't use Toujeo to treat diabetic ketoacidosis during episodes of low blood sugar or if you're allergic to insulin. Get medical help right away if you have a serious allergic reaction, such as body rash or trouble breathing. Don't reuse needles or share insulin pens. The most common side effect is low blood sugar, which can be life-threatening. It may cause shaking, sweating, fast heartbeat, and blurred vision. Check your blood sugar levels daily. Injection site reactions may occur. Don't change your dose of insulin without talking to your doctor. Tell your doctor about all your medicines and medical conditions. Check insulin label each time you inject. Taking TZDs with insulins like Toujeo may cause heart failure that can lead to death. Find your rhythm and keep on grooving. To experience Toujeo, ask your doctor.
What do you have there? P3. It's meat, cheese, and nuts. I keep my protein interesting.
Oh, yeah, me too. I have cheese and these herbs.
P3 Snacks, the more interesting way to get your protein.
At Safelite Auto Glass, we really pride ourselves on making it easy for you to get your windshield fixed. With Safelite, you can see exactly when we'll be there, saving you time for what you love most.
Enhance your moments. San Pellegrino, tastefully Italian.
Don't forget that the past can speak to the future.
I'm going to be your substitute.
Don't assume the substitute teacher has nothing to offer. Same goes for a neighborhood. Don't forget that friendships last longer than any Broadway run. Mr. President. Don't settle for your first draft or your 10th draft. You get to create the room where it happens. Just don't think you have to do it alone. The powerful backing of American Express. Don't live life without it.
Life happens everywhere. Like it never even happened, only happens here. The cleanup and restoration specialists at 1-800-SERVPRO and servpro.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We are tracking Tropical Storm Gordon for you. You're taking a live look at a live camera from Heron Bay, Alabama. This sits right on Mobile Bay. We're taking really strong winds right now, and you're going to see some spray from Mobile Bay at times come over the road here. This is the Dauphin Island Expressway here. As you're looking, I believe, north here with the easterly wind coming in, and you see the salt spray here coming right over the road. Joining us right now live on the phone is the man behind the camera here, Brandon Clement. Brandon, thanks for being with us. Describe for us what the conditions are right now and what your exact location is. Do we have Brandon? I apologize. We'll try to reconnect with Brandon and get a connection with him and give you a kind of a real firsthand account of what's going on here. Here's what we know about where he is. And you can certainly tell from the direction that the waves and the wind are coming from, Dr. Neb, but it appears he's looking north here. And if we've got an easterly wind, water could wash over this road. It's a thin little road here. It's just on a strip of land. It's only about as wide as the road is.
Yeah, and again, this is not on the immediate Gulf front. You'd have to drive across the bridge and go on the other side of Dauphin Island to be facing into the Gulf of Mexico. However, it's on the western side of the opening to Mobile Bay, and that's a pretty wide opening there. And so with the center of circulation being to the south of that whole opening to Mobile Bay, you're getting a strong easterly flow across the bay, and so there's a pretty long fetch to push the salt water in the southern part of that bay onto this normally dry ground. So there's quite a fetch there, and you're going to get some storm surge. And we've got some tide gauges even as far east as Pensacola, where the water's up a little bit more than a foot above what would normally dry ground be. So this is not surprising, and it's a taste of what's to come, because once the center of circulation passes by to the west of here, then you're going to get a full-on southerly flow into Mobile Bay. Yeah, that could really push the water up the bay.
And look at that. I mean, the road is literally right next to Mobile Bay, so the water that comes in this direction is going to basically come right over top of the road, maybe wash it over.
Yeah, that's not horizontal rain totally there. That's the sea spray. That's the salt water being blown from the Mobile Bay onto the land. Now, it's not bona fide storm surge, but you see how much the ocean is getting kicked up there, the Gulf of Mexico waters.
It certainly is. The pictures are pretty interesting this evening, that's for sure. Let's go back to some more interesting pictures, and that's meteorologist Mike Seidel, just a stone's throw south of where that camera is. Mike is actually on Dauphin Island tonight. Mike, you have been getting hit with some pretty intense winds this evening. Update us on the current conditions, and I guess over the past hour or so, pretty much the height of what you've seen so far.
Well, we've had winds clocked here 56 miles an hour down the road here at the Seaman Station. Also, in relative sense to where that camera is at Heron Bay on the other side of the bridge, they're getting the full brunt of those east-northeast winds. We've got some protection, although we're still getting rocked here pretty good, but the wind is coming across part of the island, and so we have some friction slowing it down a little bit and some protection from the vegetation, what little there is. We're out here on this barrier island south of Mobile. The power is out. We're using battery-powered lights, so you can see me tonight here on the Weather Channel. We appreciate you tuning in. And the beach is about 200 yards behind me. No concern right now of any inundation, any surge. As Dr. Nab and Mike Bettis mentioned, it's going to be once the center of Gordon goes inland and we start to get a southerly component, and that'll help out the water situation on the other side of the island, but then it'll be worse on this side of the island. We're looking at a storm surge of up to 3, maybe 4 feet. The west end is more susceptible. They've had plenty more issues on the west end. It's very narrow over the years with Camille, Katrina, and last year with Nate, I believe I saw 400,000 cubic yards of sand had to be moved after Nate came through. And that was an 85-mile-an-hour hurricane. This is a 70-mile-an-hour tropical storm. That, though, was farther west. This actually could come literally right over us in the next couple of hours. Let's go off to our west into Mississippi. To Biloxi, Mississippi. No stranger to Camille and also Katrina. Let's check in with meteorologist Alex Wilson. Alex, I know right now you're still dry for the most part.
Still dry, but we're watching you and awaiting those conditions to make it here to parts of southern Mississippi. Hurricane warning continues, as does that storm surge warning. Like you, though, we still have those winds out of the east and northeast. At this point, gusting up to even over 30 miles an hour. That's what we've got on deck for the next hour or so. But as we get into the later evening, that's when we think those winds are really going to crank up, and 60-plus mile-per-hour gusts will be likely through the overnight hours. And that rain, you have been showing us the scene there in Alabama. We have been watching that edge closer and closer to parts of Mississippi. There will be that threat of strong storms, possible tornado spin-ups. We are not under that tornado watch, though, here in the Biloxi area. That tornado watch ends right at the Mississippi-Alabama state line. So something that we'll consider during the overnight hours for the possibility, but the chance does look greater as you head to areas in the east. With that said, flash flooding will be a main threat, as will power outages. Could see some of those problems that they're seeing in Dauphin Island over here in southern Mississippi. Our coverage continues after this.
So I needed legal advice, and I heard that my cousin's wife's sister's husband was a lawyer, so I called him. But he never called me back.
If your cousin's wife's sister's husband isn't a lawyer, call LegalZoom and we'll connect you with an attorney. LegalZoom, where life meets legal.
Okay, everyone. Our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Great tasting Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. Ensure, now up to 30 grams of protein for strength and energy.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else. Why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase Sensimist relieves your worst symptoms, including nasal congestion, which most pills don't. It helps block 6 key inflammatory substances. Most pills block 1. Flonase Sensimist.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
Nobody burned down your she shed, Cheryl.
Well, my she shed's on fire.
Your she shed was struck by lightning.
Zachary, is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
You hear that, Victor? I'm getting a new she shed.
She shear?
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful news.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.
New Olay Foaming Whip Body Wash. Luxe Lather with a weightless feel. Transforms skin from dull to dreamy. New Olay Foaming Whip Body Wash.
Bear presents Ordinary versus Overachiever. Bear Premium Plus. Bear through it all with a top-rated paint at a great price. Right now, get incredible savings on Bear, exclusively at the Home Depot.
At the dinner table, nobody talks about football. I like to teach them there's more important things in life. My name is Ted Ginn. I eat Stouffer's lasagna, and I hunger to coach athletes into men. Stouffer's, what are you hungry for?
At touchofmodern.com, things you'd never think possible are totally attainable. The shoes are handmade, the furniture glows, the drones fly themselves. And that's just the beginning. Our relentless pursuit of the highest quality in watches, fashion, tech, and home are available all in one place. touchofmodern.com. We bring something new and unexpected to your life every day. So go to touchofmodern.com and be the first to discover all the novel and noteworthy items the world has to offer.
My prescriptions used to be really expensive, but then I went to GoodRx.com.
It just works. You put in the drug you're looking for, and bang, you've got half a dozen or more choices in front of you of pricing and locations to get it.
You never think about shopping around for medication prices.
I have good insurance, but with GoodRx, I save even more money.
What? I was paying how much?
And it's absolutely free. No cost to me whatsoever.
I get to save $1,180 a year with GoodRx. This is awesome.
Go to GoodRx.com and check it out.
The weather and the case were actually paralleling each other. Without the weather conditions, there would be no conviction in this case.
Currently in our area, 77 degrees with rainy conditions. Tonight, thunderstorms, low 70. Rainfall possibly over 1 inch. Wednesday, thunderstorms, high 77. Rainfall near 1 inch. Locally heavy rainfall possible. Wednesday night, thunder showers, low 68. Chance of rain, 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back as we track Tropical Storm Gordon for you, approaching the Alabama and Mississippi coastlines right now. That is a live camera from Heron Bay, Alabama, as you go out toward Dauphin Island, the barrier island off the mainland of Alabama. Joining us on the phone right now is the man behind that camera, Brandon Clement. Brandon, thanks for being with us. Describe the conditions right now and describe for our viewers exactly where you are and what the lay of the land is there.
I'm just north of Dauphin Island on the Parkway, right here in the Bay area. Right now we're getting northeast winds coming off the Bay, so it's splashing up over the highway pretty good. It's not quite as bad as it is now than it was like 10 minutes ago, well, maybe 20 minutes ago when that first band came through. It got real intense, almost looked like a whiteout. But we have another band heading this way that's just to our south and to the east. It's heading in. It should deteriorate once again.
Brandon, we know that road that you're on there, it's the Dauphin Island Parkway, I believe. There's not a whole lot there. It's pretty much a strip of land with a road on it. Any fear that this road could be overwashed?
I don't think so. It's not quite. It's hitting the rocks and spraying up over it real hard. It's not exactly crashing into it or undercutting it. They've got a lot of riprap going around, a lot of rocks that keep these waves from breaking on the ground. And it's a bay area, so the waves aren't going to get much bigger than this. So this side of the island, not really worried about it getting washed out. Now the south side, it could get a little bit more damage from the big waves, the big surf, as well as surge.
Can you describe how the conditions played out today from the time you first arrived there to now?
Well, I first got here, it was sunny, partly cloudy, breezy. Didn't feel like a hurricane was coming at all. People were out playing, walking on the beach. Definitely had big waves. You get to the west part of Dauphin Island, and it had already begun seeing some surge and waves overtopping. The water was, on the highway, about 2 mile stretch underwater, about 2 feet deep. But it didn't feel like a hurricane was coming. Here in the last hour and a half, 2 hours, it definitely went downhill really quick. The storm so one-sided. Everything's on the north and east side of it.
That certainly could be the case when you get in some of these bands. Brandon, thanks so much for talking to us. Be safe out there, my friend, and appreciate you bringing us the pictures so that all of America can see exactly what's going on with Gordon. Let's take you a little bit farther, just a little bit farther west of there. Meteorologist Jim Cantore is in Pascagoula, Mississippi tonight. Jim, it may not be long until the conditions really go downhill for you because we're looking at those bands just to your east. It's getting pretty nasty there in Alabama.
Yeah, and so whatever Seidel went through earlier is coming my way. There'll be a little bit of a break, and then there'll be another band that rotates through. So really the worst of the weather, Mike, probably about 10, 12 miles away. Just looking at the radar right now. Not moving very quickly on off toward the west. But I think we're going to start getting into the light rain here. We got a couple of drops coming down, and then it gets heavier and certainly worse. But, just like Brandon was talking about, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised how quickly it just changes and goes downhill, because those bands help to support the tropical storm. And within them, there's a lot of wind energy, okay? So you're going to be able to transport down what's going on maybe above the ground, and some of those winds are much stronger, okay? So that's what we'll watch. We'll watch the winds pick up precipitatively here, probably over the next half hour or so. I can't tell you. It's just really crawling along toward the west. But either way, we will continue to watch this for you. Our winds right now out of the east-northeast, we may have gusted to 25, but they got bigger problems, certainly down toward Dauphin Island, where even in places like Fort Morgan, we're hearing about some water rise down there. Let's get an idea of what's going on there. Dr. Nab, you're watching this. A lot of issues. Even with a tropical storm that is trying to become a hurricane, that water rise, people just underestimate it.
Yeah, and it's going to get higher once we get onto the east side of it, and you get the southerly flow into Dauphin Island, into Mobile Bay, into that coastal area. So here's Heron Bay, Dauphin Island, Pascagoula, where you've been seeing reports from here in the last few minutes, but the center circulation's out here. So the southerly push hasn't really taken hold yet. Maybe starting in Gulf Shores, but it'll be coming farther to the west shortly. And the rain is starting to spread onto land areas in a very significant way, and it's just the beginning of the heavy rainfall of what is still a tropical storm. It may or may not become a hurricane. We don't know in the last couple to few hours before final landfall. At this point, that's mostly an academic thing, and a public perception thing certainly is very important, but it's not going to change the overall impacts that we see at the coast and inland. I mean, landfall is tonight, but the beginning of the event for many people is in Jackson, Mississippi, for example, and then going farther north where Arkansas could have a big flash flood event over the next few days, Alex.
Absolutely. We've got to watch those communities that are away from the coast that may think they're immune to the problems, but could see just as many, if not more, problems because of all of that heavy rain. And here in Biloxi, Jim mentioned that leading edge of the rain has just been crawling ever so slightly west. So they should get on it within the half hour. I'm thinking here in Biloxi, maybe within an hour or so, we'll begin to see that rain. But once it starts, as Dr. Nab mentions, it's going to continue to come down. Our team coverage continues as we head through the late evening and overnight hours. We'll have everything you need to know on Tropical Storm Gordon.
No one can say that we don't like getting our hands dirty. It's an attitude. If something breaks, we don't start wondering if we should fix it. We love getting dirty. Our hands, face, our whole body if needed, with clay, paint, barbecue sauce. And that's something we pass down from generation to generation. Because for all the new ways of getting dirty, there's a new way of getting clean. New Kleenex Wet Wipes. Made for doers.
This is my doctor. This is my grocer. These are my back roads. Those are my heroes. That was my high school. And this is my privilege.
Since 2005, DISH and our partners have helped bring emergency communications access to disaster areas across the country, so families, friends, and first responders can organize, mobilize, and connect.
Fact is, every insurance company hopes you drive safely. But Allstate actually helps you drive safely with DriveWise. It lets you know when you go too fast and brake too hard. With feedback to help you drive safer, giving you the power to actually lower your cost. Unfortunately, you can't do anything about that. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
Enhance your moments. San Pellegrino, tastefully Italian.
Michelin Premier,
Safe when new, safe when worn.
If it feels like you live in the bathroom with recurring constipation and belly pain, talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Yes, Linzess treats adults with IBS with constipation or chronic constipation. Linzess can help relieve your belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Linzess is not a laxative. It helps you get ahead of your recurring constipation. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. So say yes to help for recurring constipation, yes to help for belly pain. Talk to your doctor and say yes, Linzess.
And good evening, everyone. You are watching the Weather Channel. We are all things Gordon this evening. Of course, lots of coverage out there. We've got Mike Seidel, who's been in Dauphin Island. He's dealing with the band that I'm going to deal with in about 20 minutes. Justin Michaels is in Wiggins. We've got Alex Wilson. She is in Biloxi, Mississippi. So we've got you spread out through here as really the storm itself, the center of Tropical Storm Gordon, is really just kind of crawling off toward the northwest. And we see this sometimes, unfortunately, and these things kind of stall a little bit. But the rain, of course, with it, relentless in spots. And we've already had some reports of some pretty significant water rise, evacuations, and even a few power outages to talk about. One of those areas that's been hard hit already, Dauphin Island. Let's get a report firsthand on what's going on. Here's Mike Seidel. Mike?
Hey, Jim, still getting it pretty good out here on the Barrier Island south of Mobile. No stranger to hurricanes. Camille, Katrina leveled the place. Then we had Nathan last year. But this is nothing like any of them. However, I can tell you this is a pretty strong squall we're getting in right now. These winds sustain about 30, 35 miles an hour. We're gusting 50 to 60 so far in the past couple of hours. The rain is just pounding. The power went out about an hour ago. I was a little surprised about that because we haven't had that much wind, but it is a barrier island. That's what you have to deal with. Fortunately, right now for the beaches, the wind is still coming in from the east-northeast. By the way, we're using battery-powered lights, so no need to adjust your set. East-northeast winds right now coming right in this direction. So that's blowing the water and pushing the water on the Gulf side, on the south side of Dauphin Island, away from the beaches. So right now, there's no concern about an overwatch or a surge. That is going to change as we get into the next 2 to 3 hours. Once Gordon goes by, then we're going to get a southerly direction, and that component will be more negative for this side. That'll start to push the water up. We're expecting a surge no higher than maybe 3 or 4 feet. The western end of the island is always more susceptible here. It's very narrow. This end of the island, I described as kind of like a tadpole, and the narrow end of the tadpole is on that side. We're closer to the east end of the island. Then across the inlet, you can take the ferry over to Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, and in Pensacola. It is just hammering us out here right now. The stinging rainfall. The one good thing about the storm moving at 15 miles an hour, that will cut down on the rainfalls. With that said, inland we're going to have a lot of issues, certainly with at least a half a foot of rain. There may be some spots with double digits, but the wind here on Dauphin Island, we don't have a lot of vegetation, a lot of trees, but you've got inland into Mississippi and Alabama, a lot of forest there, certainly the pines susceptible to being blown down, and then the power goes out, and also the risk of flooding. We've got Justin Michaels, will check in with him coming up from Wiggins, Mississippi. In the meantime, just a hammering tonight here on these barrier islands south of Pensacola Beach, over here south of Mobile, as the winds are being clocked in at around 60 miles an hour. This is about as strong a gust as we've seen. Dr. Knabb earlier talking about the potential of an inner eye wall forming. I saw that on the radar just a few minutes ago during a break. We're gonna hunker down right here. We're in a good location. We're safe. Nothing that can really hit us except rain and We're about 200 yards from the beach right now, and again, as I mentioned, no threat of any water coming this far up, especially now with the wind going offshore. Let's go back. Where are we headed right now?
Hey, Mike Seidel, it's Dr. Nab here. I wanted to ask you if you could hear me.
Yeah, it's hard to hear you. I hear you, Dr. Nab. Go ahead. It's really lashing us right now here at Dauphin Island.
Okay, well, about an hour ago, you were in that first really solid band when it was the worst weather you'd experienced yet. Now you're getting into that interior band on the northern side of the circulation, and it looks like the center might pass to your southwest, so you might not get that break. But is this round of rain and wind the same, worse, or not as strong as the previous really strong band?
Oh, this is worse. Right, I mean, the past few minutes, just the stinging quotient with the rain hitting me on this side, and how I'm sure you can hear it at home hitting my jacket. But yeah, this band right now in the past few minutes is worse than the one we had about an hour ago, and the winds are I probably at 5 to 10 miles an hour stronger. I suspect some of these gusts are pushing 60 miles an hour. These sustained winds have got to be pushing tropical storm force right now, Dr. Nab.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, Mike. We had plenty of observations on your side, the eastern portion of the island, where we've had not just gusts, but sustained winds of tropical storm force, sustained in the 40s, maybe even in the 50s. So you are experiencing, no doubt about it, a solid tropical storm. And I fear that you're going to get, right now, the northern part, and then the northeastern part, and then the eastern part of this. You might take a little bit of a tour of the eye wall, such as it is, trying to become a hurricane. Are you in for maybe another 2 to 3 hours of this?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'll just have to cancel my 10 o'clock reservation at Red Lobster Mobile. I think that's going to go by the wayside. No, we're going to be fine out here. This is what we live for in the Weather Channel, Jim, myself, and the others. We keep ourselves safe, but we certainly want to show everybody at home just what it's like out here on the beach. It is an adrenaline rush, but we never put ourselves in danger. Right now, there's really nothing that can hit me, basically, except maybe some sand and all this heavy rain. Boy, this is, Dr. Nab, without a doubt, this is the strongest we've been in with Gordon at this point. It is really coming in. Again, still east-northeast. Just hammering us here on this barrier island.
Yeah, you're on the north side, Mike, so it is not at all a surprise that you're getting hammered from the east, because you are basically due north of the center of circulation as it makes its way northwestward. And based on what I'm seeing on the radar, it looks like that the northeastern side of it will come right over you, and that conceivably could have even slightly stronger winds than what you're experiencing right now. So, here is Dauphin Island, and Mike is on the eastern side of it. And here's the center of circulation somewhere in here that you see on the radar, due south of him. And he might then experience all of this as the whole thing moves northwestward. So it'll be interesting to see, Mike, just how strong your winds get. It's possible you haven't seen the strongest yet, because the strongest winds are going to be on the right side of the circulation typically, and you're kind of right front right now.
Yeah, south is right out in that direction. So that's where the center is. And once again, the winds are running east-northeast on the compass. About 70 degrees, I'd say, on the compass, so 360-degree compass. The other thing, I mentioned the power is out. We did have the desk check about 20 minutes ago. As far as we know, the bridge to Dauphin Island is open, but this is not the time to go in either direction, as we showed you the pictures from Heron Bay on the southwest side of Mobile Bay, Dr. Nab, and you can see very well what was going on, that this wind is piling the water up on that side of Mobile Bay into the causeway that leads to the bridge. Now, the bridge is very, very high, too, and that's another thing you don't really want to be up on that bridge with this kind of wind because the wind's even stronger.
Yeah, and we've seen already images of semis having accidents on slick roads up in the Mobile area where they didn't get anywhere near the kind of winds you're getting. So definitely you do not want to be on the roads right now. But what's interesting about what we've noticed with the Heron Bay shot that we saw a little while ago, and the easterly wind pushing the waters of Mobile Bay into that area. But that's about to change, because as the center of circulation goes to your west, Mike, when it's west of you, then you and Mobile Bay are going to get a straight-on, full-on southerly push that could cause storm surge flooding on the south side of Dauphin Island, and then that's what could push the water up into Mobile Bay.
Exactly, and with Katrina, we were in Mobile for safety reasons. We came down to Long Beach, Mississippi the next day. Now, we're talking about a whole different animal with Katrina, but the wind blew the water up into Mobile Bay, and there was about 8 feet of water in downtown Mobile that night. We went in that night after the wind subsided. Now, we're not looking at that, but we are looking at water rises, I would suspect, Dr. Nab, in Mobile Bay of at least 2 to 3 feet once we get that southern component, because once the storm goes by, then it's the push from the south, and that channels the water into that bay, and it gets funneled up into those tributaries up in Baldwin County.
Yeah, the only thing that might spare the top end of Mobile Bay, all the way up into downtown Mobile, might spare them, getting the 2, 3, or 4 foot storm surge flooding, is if they're far enough north that the winds are pushing the water from east to west that far north, and the southerly push doesn't get all the way up in there. At least so far, the gauges have reported more than a foot of water rise near Pensacola, but no water rise up in Mobile yet. But again, what we've seen over on the Florida Panhandle is a taste of what is to come. Here's a new look of Dauphin Island. So you can see these boats that are getting tossed around quite a bit in the very angry waters. Not a surprise there. The sustained tropical storm force winds are not just causing a wind problem, they're pushing the ocean around, and these areas where boats are docked certainly could not only have a water rise, a storm surge flooding event, but there could be wave action on top of that, debris flying around. Tropical storms can cause storm surge, surprisingly, and they can cause wind damage and power outages. And we've already seen the power outage on Dauphin Island, and that's a taste of what is to come. So what we have not seen yet, though, is the maximum onshore push. The center of circulation is still offshore, and we've only seen the preliminary water rises over in Panama City Beach, over in Pensacola, a little bit at Pascagoula, not yet all the way up in Mobile, which is several miles north of the immediate Gulf coastline. But we are seeing the beginnings of that onshore push, where we've seen the video at Heron Bay, just across the water from Dauphin Island. But this onshore push is already causing these gauges to rise. And what these numbers represent are how much flooding above normally dry ground is occurring right near the coast. Folks, where are we headed now? You were... Okay, we're going to go back to Seidel because, Mike, you are still in the worst you've seen yet, and you, for the next hour to hour and a half, be experiencing the strongest part of this storm.
Yeah, as you mentioned, we're going to be in this for a while. I wanted to ask you about the NOAA plane. Any update? I heard you mention about a half an hour or so with Mike Bettis, maybe a little bit longer ago, that you weren't sure if it was going to have a chance to catch the strongest part of the storm before it moved onshore. I just wanted to check to see if you'd seen any latest updates from the plane.
Yeah, the NOAA Hurricane Hunter took off from Lakeland, Florida about 6 p.m. and then it came in from the southeast a while ago, and it has gone back and forth in the presumably strongest part of the circulation, and they went kind of over your location, Mike, from east to west a little while ago, and then when they got right offshore of Pascagoula, they did a U-turn and apparently are flying through the center again, headed east. So far, I've not seen any data to suggest that they have found winds that would make this a hurricane. But they're confirming, strong tropical storm, and we're seeing that measured on land. So, they're going to follow it as long as they can. They're not going to go fly into it over land, but they're documenting as best they can the winds that this storm is producing. Whether or not it becomes a hurricane now is getting mostly to be a kind of an academic issue, because as Mike, as you're demonstrating there, you're already getting pummeled by a tropical storm. If a few more miles an hour isn't going to change the overall problems that we have with both wind and water.
No, it just changes the numbers of how many hurricanes we had during the season. But yes, there's no difference impacts between a 70-mile-an-hour tropical storm, Dr. Nab, and a 75-mile-an-hour hurricane. But the bottom line is power outages here. We'll have power outages inland, no doubt. I think they'll be adding up during the overnight hours as these winds will eventually subside, because the storm loses its energy and it weakens, and the winds get torn apart by the friction of the land. And these winds right now have got to be pushing 40 miles an hour sustained. Holding my ground here. The one thing that makes it easier to stand up out here is the fact that, if it's 40 miles an hour and then you get hit by a gust of 60 or 65, that'll tend to knock you off your feet. But the winds have not been incredibly gusty for the most part. They've just been hanging in there, and they'll gust maybe 5, 6, 7 miles an hour higher at times. We're going to hang in here on Dauphin Island. We're continuing our coverage of Tropical Storm Gordon. We're going all night for you on the Weather Channel. We're going to check back in with Storm Tracker Jim Cantore. He is not that far away. He's in Pascagoula, Mississippi. Also, we've got Justin Michaels up in Wiggins, Mississippi. Inland, another spot. Inland areas all the way up through the mid-Mississippi Valley will be impacted by Gordon as we head through the next 2 to 3 days. We'll stay with us right here on Dauphin Island. We'll come right back after a break from the Weather Channel. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Bear presents Ordinary versus Overachiever. Bear Premium Plus. Bear through it all with a top-rated paint at a great price. Right now, get incredible savings on Bear, exclusively at the Home Depot.
Jardiance asked, and now you know. Jardiance is the only type 2 diabetes pill proven to both reduce the risk of cardiovascular death for adults who have type 2 diabetes and heart disease, and lower A1C with diet and exercise.
Jardiance can cause serious side effects, including dehydration. This may cause you to feel dizzy, faint, or lightheaded, or weak upon standing. Ketoacidosis is a serious side effect that may be fatal. Symptoms include nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, and trouble breathing. Stop taking Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of ketoacidosis or an allergic reaction. Symptoms of an allergic reaction include rash, swelling, and difficulty breathing or swallowing. Do not take Jardiance if you are on dialysis or have severe kidney problems. Other side effects are sudden kidney problems, genital yeast infections, increased bad cholesterol, and urinary tract infections, which may be serious. Taking Jardiance with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you have any medical conditions.
Isn't it time to rethink your type 2 diabetes medication? Ask your doctor about Jardiance and get to the heart of what matters.
At the dinner table, nobody talks about football. I like to teach them there's more important things in life. My name is Ted Ginn. I eat Stouffer's lasagna, and I hunger to coach athletes into men. Stouffer's, what are you hungry for?
Make sure whatever you're into outside doesn't ruin your vehicle's inside. WeatherTech keeps you protected with everything from cargo liners, bump step, and side window deflectors to our laser measured floor liners. Order yours today at WeatherTech.com. The ultimate protection for your vehicle.
Introducing the all-new DR Leaf and Lawn Vacuum. Now at our lowest price ever. The DR cleans up acres of leaves and grass while you mow. In the spring, collect dead grass, wet leaves, and twigs from storm damage. Come summer, the DR makes a great high-capacity bagger. And in the fall, turns days of raking into a drive in the park. When it's time to unload, nothing could be easier. Look, just one hand. Plus, with the collector top removed, you've got a rugged utility cart that's great for all kinds of hauling chores. The DR is the most powerful, most versatile lawn machine you can buy.
Call 1-800-708-2105 for a free buyer's guide and DVD. Try a DR leaf vac on your own property for 1 year. Free shipping is now in effect, and our easy financing plan lets you make low monthly payments. That's 1-800-708-2105. Online at drleafvac.com.
The only Emmy-nominated weather network on cable.
When this much rain falls, it is a life-threatening situation.
Is the most essential coverage on TV.
Stay tuned for your local on the 8s, brought to you by Prevagen, the name to remember.
I love my grandma.
As you grow older, your brain naturally begins to change, which may cause trouble with recall.
Learning from him is great when I can keep up.
Thankfully, Prevagen helps your brain and improves memory.
Dad's got all the answers.
Prevagen is now the #1 selling brain health supplement in drugstores nationwide.
She outsmarts me every single time.
Checkmate. You want to play again?
Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Currently in our area, 76 degrees with rainy conditions. Tonight, thunderstorms likely, low 71. Winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday, thunderstorms likely, high 77. Locally heavy rainfall possible. Wednesday night, thunder showers, low 68. Chance of rain, 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Good evening from Dauphin Island, Alabama. Meteorologist Mike Seidel. We are taking the brunt of Gordon, a very strong tropical storm. That's why, as Dr. Dobb says, you don't say it's just a tropical storm, because this is just below hurricane status. Last check, down at the end of the island, winds sustained at 47 miles an hour, gusting to 58. I can attest to that. Power is out on the island. It's been out for over an hour now. I was a little surprised it went out so soon. But statewide in Alabama, and again, this is all going to be in the very southern part of the state, the Mobile area down here to Dauphin Island, 7,700 power customers without juice. And over in the Florida area, the Panhandle, the Western Panhandle, where they've had the worst of Gordon, we've got about 4,000 customers without power. So not too bad so far, but those numbers are going to ramp up tonight as this system goes inland and you deal with the combination of the wind and the forestation away from the coast here on these barrier islands. This island has a history of being decimated. Camille, Katrina leveled the island, put a cut on the west end that has been filled back in. And then last year, Nathan, Category 1, 85-mile-an-hour hurricane coming in over us. I believe that was the early morning of October 8th, if my memory serves me correctly. About 1 a.m., we got the eye, and the winds went calm. And we're now, Dr. Knapp, just north of the center of the circulation. And as you mentioned, we may not get into the calm area because we may stay. Whoa, now that had to be pushing 60 miles an hour. We may stay in the various sectors of the inner eye wall with Gordon.
Yeah, and Mike, you have likely experienced what you just estimated, about 60 miles an hour, because we've seen reports of gusts above 60. And the fact that the power is out on Dauphin Island, not really all that surprising, given that all the way over in Orange Beach, which is a good distance off to your east, still on the Alabama coast, but getting a lot closer to Pensacola, they've had power lines down there. So, the wind issue is a significant one. And when you consider that you're dealing with sustained winds of tropical storm force, where we've had reported above 50 miles an hour sustained, over land, the wind gusts can easily be 30-40% stronger than the sustained, regardless of whether or not we measure it. We just know that. So let's say you had sustained winds 50 miles an hour, then you're easily going to have gusts up to around 70. Easily could be on the doorstep of a gust hurricane force. So that's certainly capable of taking down power lines, taking down trees, and causing debris to be flying around if you're in an area near structures. And look at how much the water is being churned up. And this is, it appears to be in a semi-protected area, in a harbor. This is not open to the Gulf of Mexico directly. But Mike, I know it's dark, but I don't know, do you have any sense of what the ocean is doing close by to you? Maybe it's impossible for you to tell now that it's dark.
Yeah, I can't answer that. I'm sorry, Dr. Knapp, but as I mentioned, we're a couple hundred yards, at least 150 yards from the ocean, and the wind continues to be in that east-northeast direction, so it's blowing in that direction. The ocean's like this, so we're still getting a bit of an offshore component, and that is going to save this side of the island for now from any kind of surge and inundation. But that is going to change. Yeah. Certainly once the center goes off to our west and then off to our northwest in, say, several hours, and then we'll get the push, and the winds will be coming right basically at my back. Right now, winds steady east-northeast, and as I mentioned, sustained nearly 50 miles an hour down at the Seaman station at the end of the island. That's very exposed, and obviously getting a good measurement and a good handle on this wind. Really whipping us right now. Dr. Knapp, by far the worst that we've felt here over the past couple of hours.
Yeah, and again, continuing to see what's coming in on Weather Service chat, and any reports we can get. We're very frequently getting reports of gusts of 55, 60 miles an hour, starting to get more and more reports of water rises. But I was just looking at the radar, Mike, and based on how fast the storm is moving in northwest at about 15 miles an hour and how large that circulation is, from where you are in the eastern part of Dauphin Island to where you would get a full-on southerly push on the eastern side of the circulation looks to be 2 hours or maybe a little bit less away. So you wouldn't be surprised in that area if you don't see significant water rises until that time. But when you get the full-on fetch out of the south, then you're going to get the most significant opportunity to get a significant storm surge. And while I'm on the radar here, it is worth noting, while we have a moment, just to show you that there is a very, very large area that has just been put under a flash flood warning, and it includes Orange Beach, Pensacola, Gulf Shores, Alabama, goes northward from there. So that's in effect till 2:15 local time. So Mike Seidel, it's saltwater and it's freshwater becoming a big problem right now. So Mike will be back with us. We'll go to Jim Cantore, Pascagoula, continuing coverage of Gordon. Stay with us.
You're headed down the highway when the guy in front slams on his brakes out of nowhere. You do too, but not in time. Hey, no big deal. You got a good record, and Liberty Mutual won't hold a grudge by raising your rates over one mistake. You hear that, Karen? Liberty Mutual doesn't hold grudges. How mature of them.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise their rates because of their first accident. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
How do you know you made the right call? You just do. The light beer you've been waiting for has arrived. Lower carbs, lower calories, higher expectations. Corona Premier.
Do these moves look familiar? Then you might have a condition called dry mouth. Biotine is clinically proven to soothe and moisturize a dry mouth, plus it freshens breath. Biotine, immediate and long-lasting dry mouth symptom relief.
Michelin Premier. Safe when new, safe when worn.
You're in the middle, yeah.
For moments that matter, TracFone keeps you connected for less. Our talk, text, and data plans start at $15 a month. No contract. All with nationwide coverage. TracFone. For moments that matter.
What does help for heart failure look like?
The beat goes on.
It looks like Emily, cooking dinner for 10.
The beat goes on.
It looks like Jonathan on a date with his wife. Entresto is a heart failure medicine that helps your heart, so you can keep on doing what you love. In the largest heart failure study ever, Entresto was proven superior at helping people stay alive and out of the hospital. It helps improve your heart's ability to pump blood to the body. Don't take Entresto if pregnant. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. Don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or aliskiren, or if you've had angioedema with an ACE or ARB. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high blood potassium. Ask your doctor about Entresto for heart failure. Yeah. Entrust your heart to Entresto.
The beat goes on.
Nothing beats the comforts of home. Introducing new Scott Comfort Plus. It's 3 times stronger for unbeatable comfort. It's how Scott Comfort Plus families keep life rolling.
Tropical Storm Gordon is right on the doorstep of the northern Gulf Coast, just 2 or 3 hours from making landfall. That's when the center circulation crosses the coast, but the center circulation, not always the center of action. That's already on land. The north side and the northeastern side of this tropical storm is the stronger, wetter side, and it's already causing problems for both wind and water on land areas. And this particular view that we have of Dauphin Island is where our storm tracker Scott Peak is located. Scott, I hope you're in a safe location. Tell us what you're seeing that we can't see from your camera shot.
Hi, Dr. Knapp. This is definitely. So yes, I'm looking at Dauphin Island Bay, and I'm pretty much on the dock in a parking lot, and the boats are just rocking back and forth with the heavy winds and the rain, as you can see in the stream. And there's actually people you can see walking right now, and they're tending to the boats. They keep slamming against the posts as the wind keeps up.
Are you seeing what we would call storm surge, water rises, normally dry ground that is clearly getting flooded by the salt water?
Absolutely. There was actually earlier today, a good 2 hours before, there was the roads were being flooded on the west side of Dauphin Island on Bainville Boulevard and covering up the roads. I had to actually get out of there because the tides were rising along with the splashing of the waters onto the road.
I don't know how strong the winds have been in your exact location. I don't know if you have a way of measuring it, but based on what I'm seeing on the radar, some of the strongest radar returns yet are just to your south and could be about to come over you. Are you experiencing right now the worst that you've seen yet?
So far, yes. The winds have definitely picked up. It's strong. It's the strongest they've been so far. I've actually had a couple pieces of a palm tree start coming off and bouncing off the hood of my car every once in a while. So definitely, this is the strongest I've seen from the storm so far.
Yeah, well, that wind is going to be on the increase where you are now. Our understanding is that, Scott, you're on the northern side of the eastern end of Dauphin Island. In a little while, the winds will start coming out of the south, so I don't think you're going to get the strongest storm surge push off the Gulf of Mexico. But I don't know if you're in a place where the water could get any higher. Hopefully you'll stay inland and away from the storm surge.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a place just down the street here that I have as a backup plan in case anything goes south.
Okay, Scott, thank you so much. Stay safe. Again, he's about to get the full brunt of the winds on the northern eye wall of this tropical storm that is potentially going to get even a little bit stronger before making landfall. And as it goes northwestward, the weather will go downhill on the coast of Mississippi. Pascagoula, the rain has started, and where Jim Cantore is, you are seeing what we're experiencing firsthand there with Mike Seidel and Scott Peak on Dauphin Island, and I fear that some of that is headed your way within the next couple of hours.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, too, Dr. Ned. That first band, when I came on the air three and a half hours ago, Seidel was already getting creamed in Dauphin Island, all right? And we have been waiting and waiting, and here's what's left of that. The big difference is, with our northeast wind, it's coming across the land. He's getting an east wind across the barrier island, essentially, regardless of what direction it is, and he's going to get the full force of it. We're protected, I think, here in reflectivity. Its first band is calmed a little bit, all right? But the second one that Mike's going through now, that's causing the power outages on Orange Beach, that is causing, some folks to evacuate because of some of the wave action that's splashing over, causing some of the power lines to come down. Those, that one right there that's coming this way, we'll just have to watch and see how it holds together. I get 7,000 without power in Alabama. 7,000 without power.
Yeah, Jim Cantore is in Pascagoula, Pascagoula, Mississippi, about to experience what's going through the coastal areas of Alabama. And, of course, the signals can get jarbled a little bit when the weather is this bad. We'll get back to him, I'm sure, before too much longer. But he makes a very good point, and that is that what direction the wind is blowing from can have a big influence on how strong it is. And he's getting that northeasterly wind off of the land, but even if the sustained wind is a little bit weaker because of that, the gusts can still be stronger. Gusts are going to be stronger in land areas than they will be over the open exposure to the water. So you can still get damaging winds that could take the power out in places like Pascagoula. And we're going to see how far inland those strong winds could go. Who's going to get power outages and who's going to get heavy flash flood inducing rains. We're going to forecast where Gordon's going, but we're going to keep you updated on the coast. Stay with us.
Don't forget that the past can speak to the future.
I'm going to be your substitute.
Don't assume the substitute teacher has nothing to offer. Same goes for a neighborhood. Don't forget that friendships last longer than any Broadway run. Mr. President. Don't settle for your first draft or your 10th draft. You get to create the room where it happens. Just don't think you have to do it alone. The powerful backing of American Express. Don't live life without it.
At Safelite Auto Glass, we really pride ourselves on making it easy for you to get your windshield fixed.
Let's turn in your science papers.
This teacher always puts her students first.
I did mine on You did? Oh, I can't wait to read it.
So when she had auto glass damage, she chose Safelite. With Safelite, she could see exactly when we'd be there.
You must be Pascal.
Yes, ma'am. Saving her time. So she can save the science project.
Safelite repair, Safelite replace.
Life happens everywhere, like it never even happened, only happens here. The cleanup and restoration specialists at 1-800-SERVPRO and ServPro.com.
Legs feeling sluggish? That's your body calling. Answer the call with protein and iron to power those muscles. Special K protein has those muscle-loving nutrients, made delicious. Special K, powering you.
More and more people are finding themselves in a Chevy for the first time. You can too during the Chevy Labor Day sales event. Now through September 10th, use Labor Day cash and trade up to this Silverado to get a total value of $11,000 when you finance with GM Financial. This Labor Day, discover why Chevy is the most awarded and fastest growing brand the last 4 years overall. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
January 21st is Squirrel Appreciation Day, but squirrels aren't the only ones saving for the future. That's why AARP dedicates today to you. Yeah, you. From planning and budgeting to getting a deal on your next trip, AARP is here to help you take on today.
Geico has over 75 years of great savings and service. With such a long history, it's easy to trust Geico. Thank you, Todd. It's not just easy, it's being a master of hypnotism easy.
Hey, I got your text.
Sleep. Doug, when I snap my fingers, you're gonna clean my gutters.
Ooh, I should clean your gutters.
Great idea.
It's not just easy, it's Geico easy.
Todd, you will go make me a frittata.
I'm so frustrated. I just want to find a used car without getting ripped off.
You could start your search at theallnewcarfax.com.
That might help. Show me the Carfax.
Now the car you want and the history you need are easy to find.
Show me used trucks with great deals.
Pretty cool.
Show me the Carfax.
Start your used car search and get free Carfax reports at theallnewcarfax.com.
All right, I brought in new Max Protein.
To give you the protein you need, with less of the sugar you don't. I'll take that.
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. New Ensure Max Protein and 2 great flavors.
And good evening, everybody. Our continuing coverage of Gordon here from Pascagoula, Mississippi. Of course, no stranger to hurricanes. I've been hearing Dr. Nab and Mike Seidel talking about different hurricanes in the past. Of course, Katrina. Of course, certainly Camille country. But Frederick, don't forget about Frederick. Back in 1979, you ask everybody in Mobile about Frederick, and they'll tell you that was one hell of a storm. Again, guys, talking a little bit before the break with Dr. Nab about the wind direction, still coming in out of the east-northeast a little bit, bringing it across the land. But, you go to about 10 miles to my south, there is a buoy out there, and they're reporting winds sustained at 35 miles an hour with gusts of 49. So it's a whole different animal when you remove yourselves from the friction of the land, which is what we got now. But I can tell you, just standing underneath or in the vicinity of these live oaks, you can't see a lot of branch movement down below, but up top I can hear them starting to whistle a little bit. So even, you're talking 80, 90 feet in terms of the height of some of these, even going up 80, 90 feet, it's a big change from where we are standing underneath down near the coastline. All right, let's go to Dauphin Island. Mike Seidel is certainly dealing with the worst of this. Mike, you got one, you got two bands. I'm sorry, you want me to go to Dr. Nab now? I'm sorry? Okay, Dr. Nab, let's go to you instead. We're going to call an audible here, and let's throw it back to you in the studio, buddy.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Yeah, you are on the doorstep of getting some of what Mike Seidel got when he was in the northwestern part of the circulation hour or two ago, and that had tropical storm conditions in it. And then when he got into the northern, most interior eye wall, partial eye wall, then he got the worst he's seen yet. So tropical storm conditions, without a doubt, are on their way to Pascagoula. And I would say, give it, in Jim's location, give it about an hour, and then he'll be into the worst of it. Even on the northwest side, we're getting some radar returns on the northern and northwestern side of the circulation that are pretty intense and will be sustained winds of tropical storm force. But Mike Seidel, you are still due north of the circulation center. You're in the northern partial eye wall. You're in the part where the eye wall has its act together. Wow, is this the worst you've experienced so far? It looks pretty bad.
Hey, Dr. Nab, it's hard to hear you. We are really just getting it right now on the chin here on Dauphin Island. The power is out, and we're just making do. We've got a lot of battery-powered lights, but these winds gusting over 60 miles an hour, and they're sustained over 45. The tropical storm force 39 miles an hour. Again, because of our position on the north side of the center of Gordon as it goes just to our south, off in that direction. We're still getting this unrelenting east-northeast wind along with these tropical blinding downpours. And it's been like this now, I think, for about an hour. And as you mentioned, Dr. Knapp, we're going to be in this for a little bit because of where the stations that are reporting the guess we can't cover.
Well, we might not be able to hear my side,
potentially could have
we can sort of see
had it moved a little farther north. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mike, this is still an east wind. Does it feel more sustained now? I mean, I would imagine that first band about an hour and a half ago was a little more spotty. This looks like there's no relenting of the tropical storm force winds sustained.
No, there isn't. This is non-stop battering out here on Dauphin Island. You're right. The first band was, that was kindergarten stuff. You know, we had some gusts to 35 or 40, but and it came and went. But this is non-stop, and it's not letting up at all. And boy, the rain it's got to be adding up. I have no access to the. I don't think there's any rain gauge. Well, there's a couple of local backyard weather stations on the island. I have no access to them right now, being out here on the beach, as you can understand. But I feel confident we've had at least a couple of inches of rain, if not more, because it is just coming down. And you walk from here to the condo, the parking lot is standing water everywhere, and out on Bienville Boulevard, that's underwater too, from the fresh water, from the rainfall coming down. And as you mentioned, Dr. Knapp, this is going to be the impact well inland. You know, literally hundreds of miles from the coast. We're going to have the water issues, the localized flooding, maybe some river flooding as we go into the end of the week, as this moves up into the Mississippi Valley. Dr. Knapp?
Yeah, Mike, not surprising that you would estimate that you've gotten at least a couple inches of rain, because in the area just to the northeast, where they've got the flash flood warning in effect, they've estimated 2, 3, maybe 4 inches of rain has already fallen there, and 4 to 6 inches more to come. So Jim Cantore, we would not be surprised, I don't think, if some areas here in the Gulf Coast states get a foot of rain. Flash flooding is a big concern, but you're going to get those sustained tropical storm force winds, I think, within the hour.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, as that second band or what's left of the eye center, the inner core of this thing makes its way this way. Either way, though, where Mike is now, sustained at 50, 5-0, gusting to 58 miles an hour. That's what he's getting right now.
Here we go. Discover. I like your card, but I'm absolutely not paying an annual fee.
Discover has no annual fees.
Really? Yeah.
We just don't believe in them.
Oh, nice. You would not believe how long I've been rehearsing that.
No annual fee on any card, only from Discover.
It's open.
Hi. This is amazing.
With moderate to severe ulcerative colitis.
Are you okay?
Even when I was there, I never knew when my symptoms would keep us apart. So I talked to my doctor about Humira. I learned Humira can help get and keep UC under control when other medications haven't worked well enough. And it helps people achieve control that lasts, so you could experience few or no symptoms.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Be there for you and them. Ask your gastroenterologist about Humira. With Humira, control is possible.
Update your floors with Empire Today's $50 room sale. Buy one room, get floors for all other rooms for just $50 each. So when you buy one room, it's only $50 for laminate in the kitchen, $50 for carpet in the bedroom, and $50 for hardwood in the office. There's no limit. Buy one room and it's $50 for floors in each additional room. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
The she shed was struck by lightning.
Is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
That's wonderful news.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
So, Darren, you're with the UPS store?
Yeah, we actually printed these invites.
Wow. I thought you guys just did shipping.
No, we do printing, packing, shredding, notarizing, mailboxing, faxing, binding, taping, laminating, copying, consulting, creating, designing, returning, and, of course, shipping.
Cool.
Nice costume.
It's my work uniform. Where are you going?
Go to the UPS store for everything your small business needs. And, of course, shipping.
The DR Trimmer Mower is the original trimmer on wheels. And over 30 years later, it's still the easiest way to maintain your country property. Trim along fence lines against buildings and around gardens. Mow down thick grass and weeds and clean out overgrowth on the roughest terrain. Our quick lock trimmer head takes the hassle out of changing cord, making it the easiest to use trimmer ever. Plus, the DR Doubles is a 3-inch thick brush cutter with our unique cutting attachment. You can own a DR for as little as $349.99 with free shipping. Hurry, this offer won't last.
Call 1-800-208-4513 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. Learn about the full line of DRs and how you can try one on your own property for 1 year. DR trimmers start at just $349.99 and free shipping is now in effect. Call today, 1-800-208-4513. Online at drtrimmer.com.
You can't stop storms from coming.
Cops knew that they were racing against the clock.
Given the weather conditions, the police knew that this was related.
Currently in our area, 75 degrees with light rain. Tonight, thunderstorms likely, low 71. Winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday, thunderstorms likely, high 77. Locally heavy rainfall possible. Wednesday night, thunder showers, low 68. Chance of rain, 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook. And good evening, everybody, from Pascagoula. We are continuing with all things Gordon. Mike Seidel at Dauphin Island really taking it on the chin with not one but two bands of this. Maybe an outer wall that was trying to develop with this, and certainly the inner core now, which is moving through him. So it's tough to get to him, and we'll get back to him as soon as he can reestablish audio. But I want to talk a little bit about what's happened there, because Mike and I are from the crow flies 25 miles apart. And basically, from when I got here 4 hours ago, he was already getting the first band. So as you look at this rather long loop, you can see how that band moved through him and then came toward me and weakened considerably. It took a while to get here. So maybe some of the dry air ate away at that band as it made its way this way. But now this second band, really what's left of the inner core, the northern part of the inner core, is coming at him, but he's right at this southern fringe of that. So Mike should get into the center of this and see his wind drop precipitably, especially given the present movement of this. But that said, we've had issues, all right? We've got power outages. We got power lines down. We got overwash on some of the roads there. I mean, you're talking about a very flat barrier island, and they've had wind well offshore. When this thing was even 50 miles away, because there are a barrier island. They're sitting in between bodies of water in through here. So whether the winds are coming out of the east-northeast or out of the south, he's going to get crushed anyway. Now, what's interesting about us here in Pascagoula is our winds are still east-northeast. When the northeast comes, so we're getting the friction of the land that's calming those winds a little bit. So we're not getting that. Plus the fact that the rain certainly got eaten up a little bit by the dry air. But the key here for us, I think, is really what happens with that band now that is moving from Dauphin over through Moss Point into Biola Battery, all those areas. That is all coming east, or west, I should say, toward us. And really over the next few hours, some of the worst conditions. storms. It certainly looks like the center is going to go right there, as Dr. Knapp has been mentioning all afternoon and evening, somewhere, but near Dauphin Island, somewhere maybe just along the Mississippi-Alabama border, maybe just to our east, actually. That would keep the wind offshore in through here, and that would certainly help out any kind of surge issues that we have across west central Mississippi, where those storm surge warnings are. But we'll keep an eye on it. This thing's still offshore. It hasn't made landfall yet. It has certainly slowed its forward speed. The big question is, Dr. Knapp, as I kind of bring you in here, where we have that flash flood warning off to our east, how long does that band go out over the Gulf of Mexico? And if this thing's, moving north-northwest or taking a more northerly turn, how long does that sit over the Florida Panhandle, over Mobile Bay? We're going to pile up the rainfall totals here.
We absolutely are. In fact, in a location like where you are in Pascagoula, maybe you get your big round of tropical storm conditions tonight, but as the storm moves off to your northwest tomorrow, the trailing band could cause some flash flooding all day tomorrow. So let's take a look at where that flash flood warning is. This is off to the east of where Jim and Mike Seidel are, and it includes Gulf Shores, Alabama, on the other side of the entrance to Mobile Bay. It includes Orange Beach, Pensacola.
Thank you, Sarah.
And that's in effect until 2:15 a.m. Central Time. They've estimated, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain in some of these areas, and maybe 4 to 6 inches more to come. So it's nowhere near being out of the question for us to possibly be dealing with a foot of rain, storm total, in many places when this is all said and done. And to answer Jim's question about how far out into the Gulf of Mexico does the banding go, quite a ways. Now, as this moves northwestward, the location of this band will generally move northwestward with it. So that could put this band squarely in the crosshairs of the Pensacola area and the Orange Beach area as we get into the overnight hours. So this is very, very dangerous flash flood situation, and we can't overstate this enough about how life-threatening it could be if people get onto the roads in their cars. So, Jim, we've preached over and over again. I know we can sound repetitive, but this is a situation where it's probably good to be repetitive, that most flood fatalities, flash flood fatalities, occur in vehicles, and that can most easily happen at night when you can't see the road as well, especially if the rain is coming down hard. You might not want to drive over a water-covered roadway, but you might end up doing it because you can't see far enough down the road.
And what a difference, Dr. Knapp, from when we started this morning with a speed of 17 miles an hour. Look at how, now we've slowed, to a crawl essentially. And as well as I do, when you start to move things in a slow fashion like that with the tropical rain bands that we have in through here, they're just going to pile up the water in a lot of occasions. So, to your point, expect a lot more flood warnings as we go through the night tonight. Maybe the situation already that's occurring will get exacerbated. And some of the worst conditions certainly will be. You're absolutely, when this thing comes ashore and we get into that southerly wind, and it's all what I was talking about before. Well, again, we're east-northeast now, so we're a little blocked. It's different than what Mike has in Dauphin. Once we get out of the south and that storm passes by to our northwest or goes to our north and we get out of the south, that means the wind comes off the water and there won't be any friction. So perhaps in the morning hours, a much more windy day, and perhaps even some of those rain bands affecting us here in Pascagoula. But we still got to get through tonight. Stick around.
If you have psoriasis, little things can be a big deal. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not a cream. It's a pill that treats moderate to severe plaque psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clear skin is achievable. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. It may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur. Tell your doctor about your medicines and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
Brad's about to find out if his dent can cope with a steak. Luckily for him, he uses Super Polygrip. It helps give him 65% more chewing power, leaving Brad to dig in and enjoy. Super Polygrip.
Barbecue Pringles? Pizza Pringles.
You made barbecue pizza.
Wow.
Add a jalapeno. Spicy barbecue pizza.
Wow. Stacked flavors, make new ones.
Bear presents Ordinary versus Overachiever. Bear Premium Plus. Bear through it all with a top-rated paint at a great price. Right now, get incredible savings on Bear, exclusively at the Home Depot.
Nothing beats the comforts of home. Introducing new Scott Comfort Plus. It's 3 times stronger for unbeatable comfort. It's how Scott Comfort Plus families keep life rolling.
Allergies with sinus congestion and pressure? You won't find relief here. Go to the pharmacy counter for powerful Claritin D. While the leading allergy spray relieves 6 symptoms, Claritin D relieves 8, including sinus congestion and pressure. Claritin D relieves more.
Last Sunday, I was watching the game, painting Gracie's nails, team colors. And that is when that Dish listening guy just popped in. He says, get Dish for extra action through NFL Red Zone.
Get extra action with NFL Red Zone from NFL Network at no extra charge.
My Pacifica hybrid minivan is so quiet, I could finally hear myself think. Where could I go with a 566-mile driving range? Why aren't shorts half the price of pants? Can vegetarians still eat animal crackers? Another Pacifica. Safe choice, my friend.
That's Catherine Hahn in a Pacifica hybrid. I bet she's all super green and healthy.
Best burger ever.
Identity thieves know if your social security number is on the dark web. Do you? Find out with Experian. Go to Experian.com/protect for a dark web scan. It's completely free, so visit Experian.com/protect today.
Things that really ramped up, the rain being blown sideways. East gusts are probably pushing 50 miles an hour. It is howling out here right now. It's really going downhill quickly. You get these gusts 40, 50 miles an hour, what you have to be worried about is trees coming down on power lines. The power is now out on Dauphin Island.
And, of course, that was Mike Seidel earlier in Dauphin Island. He's still there. We'll get back with him as soon as we can. Hopefully, when we get back to him, he'll be starting to get into the center of circulation. It is all about Gordon tonight. We have not had a landfall. It looks like it's certainly going to be a tropical storm upon landfall, but that's irrelevant because the impacts are already being felt. We've got 77 customers now without power in the state of Alabama, 4,100 in the state of Florida. Many of the 7,700, by the way, in Alabama are in Baldwin County. So that includes that area, Orange Beach, Dauphin, up toward, southern parts of Baldwin County that are dealing with this. And this is where they've had water rise, overwash as well on Dauphin. I want to bring in Scott Peak, who is there on Dauphin. He's going to give us an idea of what he is seeing right now. Scott, I didn't get a chance to talk to you earlier. I know what you went through already. Have you seen anything change in terms of the wind, or are you still getting cranked?
Yeah, so actually, the last time I talked with Dr. Nab, it got really intense for that time until now. And
right.
I actually had waves splashing up onto the hood of the car, and the boats actually started smacking up against the posts that they're tied against.
What are you seeing in terms of the wind right now?
Right now, well, it was intense about 10 minutes ago, and it's starting to lighten up slightly. I am getting some gusts every once in a while that are pretty strong, but I know the band is starting to go to my north, and we're just now starting to lighten up just a tad.
Right. Right, so that's that inner core. So, Scott, hang with me for a second, all right? Sarah, I want you to throw up the radar, and I want to show everybody where Scott is on Dauphin, and you can see, what we're talking about in through here. Obviously, the high reflectivities, the intense rain bands with the wind, and the tremendous rainfall, and really what's causing the power outages right now is sitting right there and just trying to jog a little bit to his north. So that's why he's not seeing certainly the sustained type of gust that he's seeing. So that's really the deal there. So they're waiting to get into the if you will, a little bit of a calmer area within that circulation center. And we'll see how things change and continue to change with Scott. So, Scott, let's talk about this. What do you think which band was worse, the first one or the second one that's coming through now? My guess is you're going to say the latter. And how much stronger, though, was it?
Yes, absolutely the latter. And it was, I would guesstimate that the winds were probably
Scott? Okay, we seem to have lost our connection with Scott. Guys, is he on cell? Do you know? I'm wondering if we lost cell service there, because it's you're getting issues right now on Dauphin. Okay, he's back with us. Scott, you're back with us. I know you heard the question. You started answering it. Go ahead and continue.
Right. So as I was noting that, as a matter of fact, it got intense enough to where the dock workers were actually frantically running out to the docks and trying to secure the boats that were smacking up against the posts. I cut out for a second there because I think the power flickered for just a second, but I know there's absolutely no power on the island, and I'm in total darkness except for my headlights and the spotlight that I have.
All right, so when you mentioned earlier that you actually had waves crashing up on the hood of your car, where were you in relation to where the water typically lies on a calm day? Right. Is this a combination of the water rise that you were seeing there going on the north or the south side of the island?
So yes, this is on the north side. I'm facing the Dauphin Island Bay, and it's where there's several boats are docked. And even with the protected bay, the waters are still splashing up on the hood of the car, and the boats are still rocking really good enough to where it got the workers to run out to the docks and try to tie the boats and add extra ropes to keep them from smacking each other and the posts.
Well, it's kind of interesting, too, as we talk about this. A lot of the forecasts kept this thing going west, coming in to Mississippi. It may come in on the Mississippi-Alabama line here in just a little bit. But that east-northeast component that's been so prevalent where he is has caused all sorts of issues on the north side of the barrier island as well. Real tricky. Certainly real tricky in terms of the forecast and certainly how the local winds play a role there. But you're really not safe on either side with an east wind, whether it has an east-northeast wind component or a southeast wind component. Scott, again, let's go back to the wind situation there. Are you still hammering with gusts, or is it getting a little bit calmer for a little bit longer time?
Yes, it's starting to get a little bit calmer with time. There are still intense gusts that I'll get every once in a while. But you can see, I don't know if you can see the stream. I know the guys at up there at the station can, but the water has subsided slightly. It's not as intense along with the rain as earlier. But I still do get occasional strong gusts. Actually, right now I'm getting a strong gust. It's rocking that boat pretty good. But it's slowly beginning to calm down.
Subside a little bit as the center or some of the worst of that band actually heads over toward us. We've actually seen here in Pascagoula, I'm about 25 miles, by the way, guys, from Scott in Pascagoula. I don't know if I mentioned that at the top of the hour, but we've basically seen a moderate rain. There are buoys offshore from me that aren't blocked by the land, because remember, it's all about that land and the friction with that land blocking the wind a little bit. We're certainly not getting those gusts here in Pascagoula, but offshore up to 50 miles per hour. Just 10 miles to my south, just because the wind is coming over the water with enough of a component there. And I'll tell you, one of the great things about the island, these barrier islands that sit south of the Mississippi coastline are the fact that they take a lot of the wave action. They kind of calm those waves a little bit. Now, this area is still very susceptible to storm surge, but some of the big battering waves that they get over in the Florida Panhandle and certainly in the northeast part of the Gulf of Mexico, they have no barrier islands to block them. So we do a little bit better here, as does a part of the Alabama coast, because they have Dauphin Island, which is taking the brunt of the waves. And Scott's already talked about how even with the east-northeast wind, he's getting waves battling, backing to that harbor and bashing up against the boats, and even enough to come onto the hood of his car. So in terms of the power, Scott, like you said, as far as the eye can see, how long have you been without power now?
Ask me that question again.
Yeah, how long have you been without power?
Oh, it's been over an hour at least without power. And I would like to note that there's Little Dauphin Island is the barrier that protects me from the ocean directly, and it's pretty wide. So this isn't a little barrier; it's a pretty wide barrier, and there's only a little inlet on the east side to let the boats out. So just to give you perspective on that, give you an idea on that.
No, I appreciate that, and our viewers do as well, kind of getting an idea what that looks like. But, of course, it is the eastern exposure right now that's having the issues because that's where the wind direction's coming from. All right, anything facing the east right now is getting hammered, especially Barrier Island that's sitting over the water and through here. All right, Scott, I appreciate it, buddy. Hopefully things will improve for you, but you're still going to have to deal with maybe a change in the wind direction from the west and the south, and certainly maybe some more of that heavier rain as we go on in time. All right, let's get an idea of what's left of this inner core, where that's going, and where Dr. Knabb thinks that circulation center may actually come ashore and when. Dr. Knabb, I've set you up, buddy. Go ahead and take it.
If I had to take a guess, it'd be somewhere, 11:30 to midnight Eastern time when the center of circulation might make its final landfall. But that's not necessarily where the center of action is occurring, right? Because we've already got a lot of things happening at the coast and inland. Let me just take you on a quick tour of the radar here just to show you what's happening, because it's not just at the coast. Look at how far inland we have some nasty rain bands, especially north and northeast of the center. But look at some far-flung little cells that have gone through Hattiesburg recently. And there's already been a report of a tree down on I-59 near mile marker 62. Trees are starting to come down in Hattiesburg, to the northwest of where Jim is. And the heavy rainfall is right on Jim's doorstep. It's really about to come down for you, Jim. And what's new now is that we have multiple flash flood warnings in effect. So the one that's just been issued is for Mobile and to the areas south and west of there, just across the state line from you, Jim. And that flash flood warning for Grand Bay, Mobile, Theodore, in effect till 3 a.m. Central. 2, 3, or 4 inches has already fallen. 4 to 6 inches more could fall. Again, I'm not going to be surprised if we get some places that get a foot of rain. And so, downtown Mobile, one of the areas, and Dauphin Island that could get a combination of saltwater flooding and freshwater flooding. And just to drive home that point, this flash flood warning that's already been in effect for Pensacola, Orange Beach, and Gulf Shores, in effect till 2:15 a.m. Central Time. We've already gotten a report in Romar Beach, which is in the Orange Beach area, water over the roadways near the Beaver Creek subdivision. That's flash flooding. That's freshwater, Jim. So this is in combination with the storm surge flooding we're already starting to see in Pascagoula, about a half-foot of water rise, and in Pensacola Bay, 1.5 feet of water rise from saltwater. So water everywhere, and trees starting to come down inland.
So let's talk about this, Dr. Knabb, with Mobile especially in mind. Spanish Fork, that's a really vulnerable area to storm surge. As